The Beehive State. This is the outside gate on the L4 media platform. And today for show 76, Chase Cook, how are you?
I'm good, man. I love the Beehive State. I love that you did some research. You know what it is. That's cool.
We always do lots of research, man. Yeah.
Right on.
I always, that's why I do things like that. So listeners actually may wonder why I always have that little opening statement. A guy from L4 Media who does a football show. He's a guy who helped me out a bit when I started the show, and he always opens up with a little opening catchphrase. So that's where that comes from.
Nice.
And I thought that's cool. So I've done it ever since. So probably from about
cool.
Very early shows, I always have something. And sometimes if someone's from a different state or even a different country or whatever, I might do a bit of research on that sort of thing. So, and I like the nicknames of the US states, man. How's it boring? Like, my state's called the Garden State. Like, it's really boring, man. Like,
I mean, it's not like the Beehive State's just knocking your doors off, but it's different.
No, it's cool though. It's different. Yeah. And there's some really out there ones. Like we have like Queensland, the Sunshine State. Victoria's the Garden State. Like, yeah, I can't think of any of ours are too exciting, but yeah. That's it, man.
My kids are watching the show in the room over. You can't hear them talk the TV in the next room, can you?
I can hear it a little bit, but it's fine, man. It's all good. It's all good. It adds to the real vibe, man. We've got a family.
There you go.
You're a family man on the show, man. So
I am, yeah. I got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. 2-year-old's gonna be he'll be 2 here in a few weeks. My birthday's next Friday, and then he's just a week after me.
Nice. That's a good age, man. I love it. Like, mine are 17 and 21. So I reckon that I always say that to younger parents, the age for me that was the best as a dad was from when they could wipe their own ass through to high school. All that was awesome, So 2's a bit before then, unless they're real clever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sort of personality age, toddler age, where they're just learning so much, and they're
right.
That's like prime dad time too, isn't it? Like, because when they're smaller, they're literally relying on mum a bit more.
Yeah, but it's funny because you say wipe their ass, but once they can do it, you still have to help them out a little bit. You're still wiping butts until they're like well into their 5, 6s because you got to make sure they get it right,
Because they're not doing a great job. Yeah,
no, they're not. Sometimes you're like, did you even try? Like, what is this?
Yeah. It's kind of one of those first life lessons that you got to teach. And it's not that fun teaching it, man. But yeah, it's cool, man. Yeah, that's sort of when they get that personality and they're not totally relying on their mum, and then it's like that time for dad to inject some fun and some craziness into their life. That's certainly what I did, man. Yeah. So what, you got a boy and a girl? Or?
Yeah. So Quincy's 5 or will be 5 soon, and then Maverick will be 2. So it's just wide open. My daughter is just. I've never seen so much energy, just bouncing off the walls nonstop. But she's a lover, man. It's just that's part of the hard part is she's at a stage now where she wants Maverick to be on her level to play. So she'll get frustrated because he can't be at her level. It's just constant back and forth. But being a dad, honestly, is the coolest thing you can ever do.
It's the best thing in the world, man. Yeah.
I love it.
It never stops being, man. So yeah, that's the thing. It's and it's so life-changing, isn't it, man? So life-changing.
Yeah, you never think you're ready. I had him a little bit later, I guess, in my mid upper 30s. But yeah, now you look back, you're like, what would I be doing if I didn't have him?
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, I was a fairly young parent by modern standards, I guess. Like, I think I was 27. I think. From a young bloke, and then obviously 31 for my daughter. So yeah, it's sort of young by today's standards, I guess. But yeah, it's wild, man. They're pretty cool, man. They're pretty cool.
And it gives a different outlook on Tomac and Roxon and these guys that are racing at the level they're at, having kids,
doesn't it?
And like their wives having to take that much load, having the guys traveling that often. Like I feel for my wife, and I don't travel that much, but I know how hard it is to be at home alone with 2 kids just running crazy.
Yeah.
And so for those guys and their wives are traveling with the kids, and then they got to travel. And it's like they're at the track, they're doing their work, but when they go home, like maybe it's a good separation. It's like they can get home and they don't have to think about moto because they got to worry about being a dad. But
Yeah.
it's still just to be able to be at like Tomac and those guys' level with 3 kids that he has now is like that's wild to me.
Yeah. And it's like there's so many now. Like remember when was it when Eli won the championship in 2020? I think that was a big deal because he was the dad that won the championship.
Yeah, he was the first dad, right?
Yeah, I think it was him in 2020. And but like so many of the top guys are dads now. It's not as big a deal anymore. Like
right.
Yeah,
no, it's just kind of normal.
You'd have to work it out, but Kenny, Ando, Coop, like they're all dads. Bam's a dad. Like it's all just they're all just cruising around, still kicking ass in their 30s with kids and wives and all that. It's I think it's awesome.
I wonder if some of the younger generation will see that and realize it's okay to have kids while you're still trying to professionally race a dirt bike. I wonder if in Stu and Carmichael's era, if kids was just not an option while you're still trying to compete at that level. But maybe that mentality is changing a little bit.
It probably was a mindset when you think about it, man, because that really was that era of just hardcore. Like you got to be hardcore. Yeah. You can't be friends with your competition. You can't train with anyone else.
It's just
secret
different.
And just training, just hardcore. Early Eldon Baker days, just grinding. Like
it just seemed like anything that was going to be a distraction was just not going to be acceptable. It was like, this is what I'm doing. And yeah, you're right. And but I think that mentality maybe she's changed a little bit. But it's a cool time, right? We've got the young bucks,
yeah,
and then we've got all these dads. So it's just a cool dynamic. I love it.
It is cool, and then we've sort of got Sexton in the middle on his own. Like there's not many mid-20 guys up the front. It's just like there's the youngsters, then there's Chase, and then there's the old boys. So
I was just thinking about this today. I kind of feel bad for Sexton in a way that the storyline right now, it's Tomac and Jet after that last race in San Diego.
Yeah.
So they're getting all the headlines of like Tomac, the older guy, still showing he has it, and then beating Jet, the phenom. And then Sexton's just kind of like, hey, I'm here. You know what I mean? But he's just not quite in that story plot yet. But once he gets back in the, if he wins this weekend or if he establishes himself as that title guy, he's gonna be right back in the story. So
yeah, because he was the story after A1, like it.
Yeah, because it was him and Tomac, right? 2022, that outdoor battle that was insane. But then Jet just kind of swooped in and took all that spotlight from Sexton a little bit.
Yeah. It was amazing how that all happened. Yeah, that 2022 season, I still like, everyone's still
I was watching highlights the other day.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable, So
that was I picture that because I'll be 40 next week. And so I caught like the tail end of Stu, and I got to the moto late. Actually, I didn't own my own dirt bike till I was 25.
Okay. Yep.
So I grew up in Oregon, and in Southern Oregon where I grew up, there wasn't a big moto scene. Like it was, my brother had a CR85 when I was younger. I remember him ripping around a little bit. My dad had an old Yamaha 350 enduro bike, which I would cruise around on. So I knew how to ride dirt bikes. And then every once in a while I'd go out and ride. Like my oldest or second oldest brother is actually who I credit to getting me into dirt biking. He, back in the day when I was probably like my mid upper 20s, he had an extra bike. So I'd go with him occasionally to go out and ride. But like actually like getting into moto was 25. And so up to that point, I didn't watch a whole lot of motocross or know much about it. So I kind of had to go dig into the archives to kind of learn about some of these guys. But yeah, so I caught the tail end of like Stu, but I'd imagine the Tomac and Sexton thing was like RC and Stu when RC was going on his way out. Like you just have, those are the two guys every moto, like they're going to find each other and you're going to have a sick battle going on.
Yeah, it's definitely one we're going to look back on and just like remember forever. Was that season? I remember writing an article saying just that. Like, this is one that we're going to be going back and looking back on. That this was, one of them. Just like,
Yeah,
do
it's
you
cool.
remember? Do you remember when? It'll be a do you remember when sort of thing.
Oh yeah, I was talking to Brayton the other day, and I was just like, man, I hope Tomac understands like just what he's done to our sport, because you have the McGrath era, and
Mm.
I don't really go much farther back than MC, right? Like
Yeah,
I never watched a single one of his races in person or anything.
yeah,
But you remember everyone talks, oh, I was part of the McGrath era, I was part of the RC era, I was part of the Stu era. Tomac's gonna have people say, I grew up in the Tomac era.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like he has his own era. He has his own just time frame where like people are gonna reference the Tomac era. Like not
yeah,
even as great as Dungy was in RV,
yeah,
it's still Tomac, it's Tomac's era, right? So
yeah,
and I said I hope he understands like that's how people are gonna remember Eli Tomac is not just one of the greats, but like people say, yeah, I grew up in the Tomac era.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's he's certainly a huge fan. Like I say all the time that sometimes I'll I'm a bad Aussie because I love Tomac so much, man. Like, and I'm invested in Eli's career and his success
Yeah.
for over a decade. And then when Jet come along, of course I'm excited for a young Australian, and I
Mm-hmm.
am and it's all really cool. But I'll tell you, I was barracking for Eli last weekend, like strong, man.
Oh
Like I was
yeah.
like, go Eli. Like I didn't want Jet to catch you. And I'm still happy when Jet wins, but still want the old boys to win a bit, And
Yeah, it's tough because you watch Jet and you're watching greatness, and
yeah,
you
you are.
have to
Yeah,
appreciate it. And I understand why he gets hate. That the top guy is only got one way to go. He's always going to get
yeah,
hate. But
yeah,
yeah, I was rooting for Tomac more so because you just want to see that whole story of Tomac
yeah,
coming back, coming to
yeah.
fruition.
Oh, yeah,
And,
yeah,
and I'm right there with you. When Jet got into second, I said, dude, 99% chance. I was like, Jet's going to pass Tomac,
yeah. I thought he was
or he'll
going to.
wait till
Yeah,
the right time, and then
yeah,
like we're just going to see the same old race we're used to, where Jet just waits, and then says, "Okay, it's time to go."
yeah.
So mentally, though, that was huge for Tomac to be able to
Massive.
say, "I held off Jet for 15 laps,
Yeah,
had the raw speed to do it," and I don't. We were talking about this a little bit. I don't think the bike setup is what kept Jet from winning that race. I
no, I
really
don't think
think
so.
that Tomac just had a pace that Jet was like, I'm going to have to, I could risk throwing it away or crashing if I try and pick up the intensity,
Yeah,
just that extra couple percent.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Jet really did look like he was pushing. Jet even made a couple of small mistakes
Yeah.
when the gap closed up, and it was sort of going from like 0.8 to 1.5 and back, and it was like,
Oh, yeah. It
and
was
you,
just Tomac had his spots and Jet had his. And dude, it was an all time race.
especially Tomac in the whoops, man, that was just like, and he was
He's
hanging
always
out.
been good at that.
He was hanging out like it was not a lot of caution, but it was
No.
awesome,
But I
man.
remember a few years ago, I think it was Seattle. Tomac had this line where that was one of those races from back of the pack came up, and I believe he
Yeah,
won, but he was going kind of 90-degree turn, and he was just going and then cutting across all the ruts, and was probably a second faster through the whoop section. Like
yeah.
just a dog, man. I love it.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it absolutely. Who you got this weekend, man? Who would you pick just for the wins, man?
Jet.
Yeah, I'm feeling that. I think he's got to win. He has to. He can't not win one of the first three. Like that just can't
See
happen.
that
So
that's
that's
my
what
logic. I said,
yeah,
like, any one of these guys could win. You just
mm,
know that the probability of Jet not winning one of the
yeah.
first three or
That's
four
it.
rounds
Yeah,
is so low that it almost feels like these first two you kind of like lucked out if you didn't pick Jet to win, but your
yeah,
luck's going to run out real quick if you don't pick him to win.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I feel like
That's where I'm at.
you have to put him up there at some point, and I think round three is the time.
Yeah, yeah. And what about 250? What are you thinking?
Well, man, that field's so thin already.
Isn't it?
I just
We lost another three in the last 2 days. Like,
is it a PC curse, or is it just a 250 curse
oh,
at this point? I don't know what to think about it because Ryder D is out,
mm,
Styles is out,
mm,
Marchbanks is out,
yeah.
Levi. We didn't even
Master
get Kitchen.
Yeah. Masterpool, and then we lost RJ from the coast. We lost Faulkner from the coast.
Shimoda broke fingers on a pit board.
Yeah, like, it's insane, man.
I would love to just see. I would still at this point pick Diggin to win the title, but I would really like to see him have to take it from Juju and take it down. I really, honestly, for that coast, I think it comes down to the East-West showdowns.
Yeah,
because I think right now, I think those two, Deegan and Beaumer, are going to separate themselves. I think Smitty is going to hang in there and just keep racking up podiums. I think those two maybe have just that little bit more raw speed right now.
Yep.
But when we get to these showdowns, if one of those guys starts up front and the other guy's buried back in 10th, 11th, like that could be a huge point swing. So I kind of look at those two as like they're going to be 1 and 2 from here on out. And then you just got to see what happens at these showdowns because that could be the make or break.
Yeah. Also, the showdowns, some of the showdowns are like East Coast dirt, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Might favor, I don't know who it'll favor really because Deegan's a Cali kid, but he trains in Florida. Juju's a Havasu kid. Like, so maybe Deegs with the Florida training, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Because we'll have had one, it's Tampa, then Indy, right? So we'll have one East Coast, and then they get, so the East Coast guys get one race, and then it's straight to a showdown.
Okay, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So they're just getting thrown into it. Like they have one race to figure it out, and then it's like, well, now you're just gonna be paired up with all the other dudes. So it's kind of gnarly for the East Coast guys.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, that's true. But now that'll be interesting. But I'm just sort of feeling Juju for this weekend. You know, like
he hasn't made any mistakes.
Yeah. He's just like I was at the start of the season. Like Deegs is just gonna win, especially once RJ and Faulkner and Kitchen were gone. I was like, Deegs is going to just walk this thing. Like, no disrespect to the other guys, but they're playing for second, you know. And
I think that's what everybody thought.
I'm shocked, man. I'm shocked at just how good Juju is. Basically, like he is really.
But if you're Kitchen right now, are you looking at A1 thinking, I should have just taken a 5th or a 6th? Because I have to imagine that a sick Kitchen, and I don't know how sick he was.
Yeah.
But he had to have been good for like a 6 or 7.
You'd think so,
right?
Yeah.
You would think. And here we are, half the damn class is out, and he's thinking, well, shit, now all I'd have to do is just worry about Deegs and Juju, and Deegs hasn't even won a race yet.
Yeah, you know, like if he had just gone out and like hydrate up, man. I don't know what was wrong, but hydrate up.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, it's like sometimes it's worth it, but it's hard to know. No one knows how bad anyone else feels, man. I always go back to the story. My favorite Ricky Carmichael story is when he shit his pants and won Moto 2. I can't remember which race it actually was, but it was like
I heard about that, but I don't remember what the race was.
That's your champion commitment. It's like he was leading Moto 2.
I saw this.
I
saw this YouTube. Oh no! I saw this YouTube short a while ago. This long distance chick. I think she's running a marathon, and they were like, they had the follow along car.
Yeah.
And she looked up at it. She's like, I just shit my pants, so please don't film me from the back.
And then I was like, YouTube.
Yeah. Blow her up.
They just absolutely threw her under the bus, didn't they? Yeah. But yeah, it's funny in the end. Like we had
So who's your pick for 250 East now?
For 250 East? Oh, geez, that's so hard.
I really, just because I'm biased, Pierce Brown's as a local. I know his parents, and Pierce has always had the speed, and I'm hoping. Really, it's just he's never been able to get starts for whatever reason. He's just never been able to start it from. But he won that last SMX round last year. My heart wants Pierce. You know, Kitchen's going to be good. I just don't know who else. Faulkner.
Yeah. My heart would want Faulkner to win for sure because I just feel for that kid so much. The poor kid. But I don't know. Maybe RJ. He's solid. I think of RJ now. I think he's like that solid veteran. You remember, which is so weird from all the years of like, oh, RJ's going to RJ. Whereas now it's like, because he signed it. He didn't tidy things up totally, but he tidied things up a lot, you know. So
enough to win the title.
Yeah.
Kitchen's going to be good. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait till round 1 to really find out, but that's probably going to be a more stacked coast now, obviously, than the West. So
yeah, it'll be wild, man. Yeah, that'll be. It's always fun, man, when that first East Coast round comes around, because usually things have settled a little bit in the West, and usually by then we've got a 450. The sort of narrative of the season settled a bit. You know, these are the two big dogs. This guy's in the mix, and you sort of know what's happening. And then we get this injection of new stuff. So yeah, first
never forgot McAdoo
is always fun. Yeah. Whackers, you never know what.
Whackers, yeah.
You don't know what he's going to bring, man. Like, that's crazy.
Last year in Detroit, that first term pile up, I was doing Race Day Live for that, so I was live announcing during the night show. And so I watched that pile up happen, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the pile trying to figure out like who's in it, who went down. Yeah. And dude, McAdoo's standing straight at me, and I just see dick and balls hanging out of his pants, like full exposure. And so I'm on my headset, and I don't have direct communication to NBC, but I have Sam is the gal that's actually like coordinating and directing the whole night program. And I get on my headset and I'm like, Sam, tell NBC, do not get close up on McAdoo. Do not get close up on McAdoo. And then I'm trying to explain to her, like, his dick and balls are hanging out of his pants right now. Don't let them show this. What are the odds, though, that in that night broadcast, they somehow didn't catch that, like, because they showed the replay. Yeah. And I'm just like, this could be bad for live television right now.
Yeah. There was some back shots through the whoops where things were.
Oh yeah.
But the full frontal never came up. So.
They're out there. They just never let them get exposed.
But not on the actual broadcast. Yeah, that was.
Yeah. But
crazy stuff.
Anyway, it'll be a good. I'm excited for it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Dude, tell us a bit about what you do at Rocky Mountain ATVMC, man.
Oh, I do a lot. So I started there almost 10 years ago. Been there like 9.5 years. And my official title is product spokesperson. So most people know me as the YouTube guy that does the video reviews. So if you're trying to buy a helmet, boots, anything like that, I'm the guy that just my job to tell you what the product is and try to explain, what's unique and special about this product and why you might want to go buy it. So I started doing that originally. Still do it. That's my priority is that. That's my day job. And we have a full video team at Rocky Mountain we have 5 full-time videographers and editors. And then I do the product side of things. And then Charles is our how-to mechanic. But since then, like Rocky Mountain, we've been growing like crazy. So we have over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. So we do a lot with the YouTube channel. I mean, we do some challenge videos. I don't know if you've seen any of those, but we do some fun, just stupid stuff. In fact, next week we got a group of guys coming down. I won't be in it because I'll actually be doing Race Day Live in Phoenix, but they're doing a challenge video where they have a budget under $1,000 to buy a motorcycle, and they're buying them down in Phoenix. And so they're not going to be able to see them until they get there, and they got to go find a bike. And then they're going to take those and then ride them 500 miles across the desert on nasty roads back to Vegas. It's like 500 miles.
Right,
So we do fun stuff like that. And then Rocky Mountain owns the brand MSR.
Oh, okay.
So when we bought that, so I sit in on all the meetings where we go over colorways and concepts, design of the gear, the fit, the paneling. So I have a lot to do with that because we have a full textiles team within Rocky Mountain that handles all of that. Yep. But I go to all the meetings, so it's cool. I get to look at the colorways. I get to give a lot of input just because I'm so involved. I get to help with that. And then, man, the fantasy stuff is a bigger deal than people think. It's basically year round now, right? Because we got super motocross.
Yeah.
So we do the fantasy show, and then I do ride reviews. So I'll go actually ride in products, give my actual opinion, and man, just videos nonstop.
Yeah. That's it. How much of the Race Day Live are you doing this year?
They have me slotted for 3 races right now. So last year was 5, and I fill in for Lurch. Some people might not
okay.
know
Is that
he
how it works?
announces like
Yeah,
a fishing league.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he's got
Okay.
some fishing league, I guess, that he announces for. And then
Yeah.
so I fill in for those. So last year was 5. This year they'd asked me to do 5, and then they asked me, and then after they're like, oh, sorry, it's actually just going to be 3. But I'm on standby if they ask me to do more. So last year was the first time I'd ever done it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like doing it. I don't know if I'd want to do all 17 rounds, to be honest with you. Right now with the kids, it's gnarly. It's a lot of travel for these people, and my hat's off to them. But a lot of people, I will say, like on Race Day Live and that, they're not working a 9 to 5 during the week.
Yeah.
So they kind of have the rest of the week to kind of do stuff and whatever get done. Me, it's like, no, I'd go to work Monday through Thursday. I fly out Thursday nights, and then Friday, Saturday, fly home Sunday. And then I'd be right back to the office on Monday. And I just don't know if I could do that for, 17 out of 19 weekends in a row.
I can certainly understand that, man. Yeah. And with little kids, man, speaking from experience, man, I remember I worked too much when my boy was little, man, and I missed stuff. I really did,
Yeah.
And I was doing what I had to do at the time, man. But I definitely, I'd miss things, and they're things you never get back, man. So
Sure.
it, and geez, a lot of young dads do that sort of stuff, and you have to. But yeah, it is always, if you can, more time with them little ones is
Yeah, and if they were a little older, I'd bring them out with me to a few races throughout the year. But just with their ages, man, it's like herding cats if you're trying to take them anywhere. And I just
yeah.
And on Fridays and Saturdays, it's meetings, you're doing run throughs, so you really don't have any free time until the very end of the night anyway. And then Saturday, shit, we get to the stadium, say like Anaheim 1 or this weekend A2, you'll get to the stadium at say 8 or 9 ish, and then we have a meeting in the morning, just kind of running through the whole day again. And then it's from Race Day Live all the way up till the night show's done. You're just wide open the whole time. So if I did have the family there, it would be like, you just go do whatever you want to do, and I'll see you at midnight, kind of a thing.
Yeah. It just reminds me. I remember with so I'm friends with DB, and I remember when he a few times when Evan was younger, and he'd take Evan, but Evan was sort of old enough to just like hang out with the other adults, and
just go do your own thing.
He'd go and hang out with the other guys that he knew, and just cruise around and just that sort of thing. So yeah, when they're a bit older, you'd be able to do the same. Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. Cool. What you're talking about that challenge, I love that, man. I remember the video, probably the first Rocky Mountain thing I watched years ago, when you did the 5 miles of hell on the old bikes. That was great, man. I still tell people about that. Go and watch this. Like, this is what these guys did. Yeah. Because
that's been our number one performing video series ever.
Yeah.
And we've done a whole bunch since then. Like, we took those same bikes that we did 5 miles of hell, and we did actually like a legit enduro cross race on them.
I remember that one. Yeah. The enduro cross. And then you did the desert. You did the cheap adventure bike, the budget adventure bike.
The 1,000-mile ADV ride. Yep. I was supposed to be on that one, but like a week before we were leaving, I had my bike all picked out. I ruptured my patellar tendon. So I had to miss that one.
Yeah.
But then the last one we did, we went back to 5 miles of hell, and we all did it on TW200s.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. I'll have to watch that one. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
We were so stupid. Like, the bikes were surprisingly capable. Like, it's not a great bike to take by any means, but we all got through it. But it was like later in the year, it was like September, early October. And we just, for whatever reason, man, we just planned terribly, because we got down there and nobody brought, I think, more than 2 or 3 liters of water. And it was 98 degrees that day.
Yeah.
And so we started this trail, and you know how it goes when you're filming something. It's let's say something's going to take you 3 hours start to finish if you're just doing it. Yeah. But you want to try and film it and make it cool.
All day.
Triple it. It's all day. Because you're like, hey guys, we got to stop right here. Camera guy's got to ride ahead. He's got to get set up. We all have our intercoms on. So we're waiting for him to do that. And then he's got to go. Or it's like, hey, we got to go back and redo that section, because it'd be good to get that on film. And then you're stopping to put the drone up so you can get a drone shot, all that. So anyway, we were out there all day on the bikes. And by the last like hour and a half, 2 hours, it was still crazy hot. We were out of water.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where as I'm riding, like my triceps started cramping.
Oh, geez.
And I remember thinking, oh yeah, we were like, me and Justin were like waiting for ice to melt in our water bottle because that's all the water that we had to sip on.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, there's no cell service out there. You're in the middle of nowhere. We had our Garmin inReaches, but if someone had actually like really cramped up to where like your leg is cramping and you can't move it and you're stuck or whatever, we had no way to like, we were screwed.
Yeah.
Like it would have been hit the SOS button on a Garmin and wait for a helicopter to come or something. Or because on that route, there's 3 exit points.
Okay.
But depending on where you're at, all the exits are spread out. So you could still be an hour away just from one of the exit points that gets you out early, but you also have to go backwards, which in some cases is not what you'd want to do. So, I mean, it started out fun and then I got really tired. For me, anytime we do those bike videos, you'll know I'm starting to not enjoy myself when the F-bombs just start coming out. Like they'll start having to bleep me all the time. But so yeah, but it was fun. We got through it on TW200s and it was dumb, but it was fun. And now they're doing another one here soon.
Yeah, I love any sort of content like that, man. And I mean, what makes it is that you guys have the banter and the group dynamics and the fun you have between each other and that sort of thing. That's that's what makes it. That's what makes any sort of video, I think, where people are talking. It's the dynamics of the people, and you're giving each other shit and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And the whole point of those videos is the whole point of those videos is to humanize the company. Yeah. Just to make it look like, hey, like we're out here, we're just a bunch of fun dudes that all like to ride motorcycles and go do stupid shit all the time. So they're fun. Yeah. But my favorite videos though is I geek out on technique and form when riding dirt bikes. Like, so my favorite videos that I do are when I get to go do like instructional videos that I'll like partner up with. Like there's a track out here called Mosquito MX, and there's the Bruff family that owns and runs that. So we sponsor their race series. Great relationship with Gary and his 3 boys. We sponsor them. So I'll go a lot down and do like tutorial videos with Riley and his brothers. I've done some with Kiefer. I'll do some on my own sometimes. But anytime I watch Supercross or motocross, it's like I'm not a pro level rider. We'll say I'm a good intermediate.
Yep.
However, I do feel like I have a pretty good eye for little things that guys do on the bikes that I see it and I'm like, oh, like that was interesting. Or I just pick up on that stuff and then I geek out. And then every time I go ride, like I'm always thinking about how I can get better as a rider.
Yeah.
And so, I love doing those types of videos, the product reviews and stuff like that, when we go riding them, like the stuff we did with Kiefer for the boot shootouts and whatnot. Like those are, it's not hard to see why I get to go ride my dirt bike and film some videos. So those are always fun to do.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I can imagine, man. It sounds absolutely amazing, man. A
lot of people think I just go ride my dirt bike every day, which is not the case. I wish it was, but especially like right now in the winter in Utah, it's been barely 30 degrees now for a little while. The tracks are all closed. So there's great desert riding. Utah has a ton of public land. Yeah. But so we go down to Mesquite every now and then to film stuff. But then in the summertime, I work for Gary on the side just for fun. And I announce for his local race series.
Oh yeah.
So during the summertime, like most of my riding is actually just doing gate drops because I'll race while I work for him. So.
Oh yeah.
Pretty fun.
Yeah. That's like I know my mate you'd remember Moto Limited show. So that friends of mine. Trent, he does that for his local stuff up in Queensland. Yeah.
Okay.
And now he's little boys racing, so he'll be like there, and his dad will be there, his son will be racing, he'll be racing a bit, and then he'll be going up in the announcer's tower, and he gets into all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I'm up over here announcing, and I'm like, all right, Gary, I got to go get my gate drop in, so and I'm like last one to line every time because I don't want to go over there and sit there forever, when I'm supposed to be working. So I'll keep an eye on staging. I'll see like, all right, like this race about over. Like my gate drops next, and I'll roll over, and everybody's already on the gate, and I just kind of take whatever's left over. But then I do my moto and then just go right back to it. But yeah, it's right now with my kids at their age, it's hard to ask my wife to let me just go ride my dirt bike for fun at the track on a Saturday. But if I'm getting paid to be there, it's there's no problem. So that's how I do it right now.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean. That's the way, man. Righto. It's time for an ad read. Gutsracing.com. That's a really easy website to remember. Gutsracing.com. Jordan Smith, is he going to podium again? Hey, on that Guts seat, Team Triumph, just crushing it out there. Just like so many other teams using Guts seats, like Rockstar Husqvarna, Rockstar Gas, Hep Suzuki, Club MX, Moto Concepts Racing, Phoenix Honda, and the list just goes on and on. In Australia, CDR, Yamaha, Empire Kawasaki, Raceline Husqvarna. As my man, privateer hero Scott Meshy says, they're a butt gripper and they'll make you a ripper. You can get a huge range of colors. You can get custom seats with bumps, with steps, even steps, wide wings. You can get tall seats in 2 different sizes. It's an amazing website where you can go on there and choose everything you need. The ordering process is really easy. You can get complete seats, seat bases. You can get the ultralight seat foam, and you can even get a Velcro fitment seat if that's what you want to use. If you do tackle the job the traditional staple gun way, don't fear that either, because your seat cover will come with a QR code, and you scan that code, and it'll take you to a video where the man himself, Andy Gregg, is there showing you how to install that seat cover. How's that for service? I mean, seriously. And I'm speaking from experience. I used that code to install the seat cover to my YZ just recently. Unbelievable, hey? Get around it. Guts Racing, gutsracing.com. That's a really easy website to remember. Cool. All right, let's get back and to my man Chase Cook from Rocky Mountain ATVMC and see what else we're going to talk about. Cheers. Where you are, is it snowing? Like, it's obviously wintertime. Like, does it snow there, or are you?
Oh yeah. Well, surprisingly, this winter's been dry in the valley, but we're doing pretty healthy in the mountains right now. I think we're just below like our normal average snowfall. Yeah. But the valley, we haven't had. Normally, there's probably 7 or 8 times during the winter where I'm driving to work on 3-4 inches of snow on the freeway.
Yeah.
But this year, I haven't had any of those. Tomorrow, we're supposed to get a little bit on the valley floor, but it's just cold. Yeah. But the nice thing about out here is there's a lot of sand, like dunes. You'll just find pockets of dune sand just kind of spread all over the place.
Okay.
And so those spots, though, it could snow. You just go right on it. And you just work the snow into the sand, and you're fine. You might get to the frozen base a little bit, down a little bit, but I've ridden out here. I mean, I'll see dudes riding when it's 25 degrees, man. It's anything you can take. You just go moto.
Yeah. Cool. It's always blows me away, the amount of snow and the cold and all that sort of thing. Like, we get cold for here, but man, it's very snow and all that sort of thing. It's very
it's just enough where it's like by the end of summer or by the end of winter, you're just ready to pull the trigger and blow your brains out. Yeah. But then like at the end of summer, you're just like, I'm over the heat. I'm ready to blow my brains out. And then fall. So it's just vicious cycle that keeps going. But I always look forward to the fall because I'm an avid bow hunter. And so I live my life one September at a time. My brother and I, my oldest brother lives out here in Utah with me. The rest of my family's still in Oregon.
Yeah.
And so he and I, though, our bond is, so second oldest brother, our bond is dirt bikes. In fact, I was just in Oregon last week. And I borrowed a Husqvarna 350 and I went and motored with him at a private track, had an absolute blast.
Yeah.
So that's our bond. And then Camden, who lives out here, our thing is bow hunting. And so bow hunting in any state in the Western United States is just the month of September. In some places it starts a little bit earlier.
Yep.
But so he and I buy these tags together. So we have a tag for Idaho this year that we actually had to buy in early December. So we just the whole year we're just waiting for September.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Kind of something to look forward to.
And what are you hunting, man? Like what are you hunting in that season? Like is that elk or
Yeah, so elk or mule deer are the
okay.
two like prominent things that are hunted out here. It just depends on what you have a tag for.
Oh, okay.
So in Utah, if you're a resident, every year if you're an archery hunter, you can buy just a tag over the counter for $50 to shoot a cow elk or a spike.
Yeah.
And then a branch bull you can shoot in certain parts of the state.
Yeah.
Most of Utah is broken up into limited entry units that you have to put in for and buy points to get and to draw.
Yeah.
But but Idaho, it's an elk hunt. So that's what we're doing this year.
Okay. Yeah. It's all it's different there. You get a little bit of bow hunting. It's very niche in Australia though. Like mostly it's shooting. It's guns.
Right.
And the seasonal thing. I'm not a hunter, but I got most of my friends are, and and like I know, there's some things we have seasons for, but probably the main things that people shoot and hunt, there's not a season for, So probably the main thing is the main big thing would be kangaroos. So
what is the deal with those? Are they like? do you? This is such an ignorant question, but do people eat kangaroos?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah,
okay,
it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. It is. It's not. We should eat more of it, honestly, because they breed like rabbits. So they breed. They're kind of dumb. They'll actually overbreed to the food they've got to eat. So sometimes they'll actually encourage shooting, and they'll do like culling because they'll eat because they're in a desert area and they just breed and then they got nothing to eat. So they actually overpopulate themselves. They're not real smart.
Are kangaroos kind of like, because some places eat horse meat, and are kangaroos kind of like horses where it's one of those animals that you don't look at for food, so some people are just hesitant to eat them?
No. I'm not sure why we don't do more. It's because it's pretty good eating. It's like it's hard to explain. It's just it's a red meat. It's a little bit gamey. It probably, if anything, man, it's probably is like a bit like venison, I guess. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, a bit like venison. It's a good high protein sort of thing in that, and you can buy it in the deli section of a store.
Oh, really?
You can buy kangaroo fillets and that sort of thing, and they do use it in pet food a fair bit. A lot of dogs, dog stuff is room meat, that sort of thing. So that's always one. And then rabbits is we had the British introduced rabbits to Australia, and we've had rabbit plagues and all sorts of stuff. So
we got a lot out here.
Rabbits is always the main go-to, that there's always some around for people to shoot, especially like kids getting their eye in and that sort of thing. Shooting rabbits 22 is sort of where the hunting starts. And
they banned it here, but it used to be like some of the funnest nights were going out in the middle of the night with a spotlight, and you just got a shotgun in your hand and you're just trying to find rabbits out in the desert.
That was sort of most of my experience as a kid, because my dad wasn't a hunter, so I never had a junior license or anything like that. I've got a license nowadays, but I would go out to a farm with my mates who did shoot, but I'd drive, and because spotlighting was probably the most popular thing. And I'd drive the ute around paddocks and shit like that, and they'd be telling me, go this way, go that way, and that sort of thing. And sometimes they'd be sitting on the roof or whatever, and shooting spotlighting rabbits, and then occasionally foxes, but foxes are smart, so they're much harder to. Rabbits are pretty dumb like kangaroos, man, but foxes are smart, so harder to shoot them. And then probably the real popular thing that a lot of people, when I was a young bloke, was boars or just pigs, hogs. Every country. I think you guys call them wild hogs. We just call them pigs. I think I think it just depends on where you're at. I think in New Zealand they call them boars, but basically wild wild pigs. That's huge, and that's still a huge thing. And they usually hunt them with dogs and knives. Sometimes they'll do bows, but you got to have a pretty serious bow set up for those.
Did you say a knife?
Yeah, that's the most popular thing is dogs and knives. So yeah, they will.
Boars are pretty gnarly. Like,
they are, man.
They'll come at you.
So that's why it's such a big rush. Like they'll do. Well, I had mates that would just like, but mates would go dirt bike riding with me. But sometimes they'd be, no, we're going pigging. They're going pigging, and they would have they'd have two different sorts of dogs trained.
Yeah.
You'd have a big fast dog like a wolfhound or something like that. It was really fast.
Yeah.
Catch anything, and then they'd have like a big trying to think of the breed that was real popular, but like a big muscular breed of dog that had a really strong jaw, and basically they'd get out running through the bush with the dogs, and the dogs would find a pig, and the dogs would chase the boar, grab it, and then the guys would run up, and they knew where to stab it. They'd run up, jump on the boar, and stab it. So that was it's still a huge thing, man. Like I've never.
Yeah, it's okay. Sounds fun, I guess.
And they'd be like, it was like a big thing, and that would usually they'd usually find out where they were on private property, especially where rice is grown. It was always a popular one because the pigs.
Well, I know down here they're a huge problem in most states, Texas, Arizona, Florida. Yeah. Like it's basically. I mean, I've seen those videos of dudes shooting them out of helicopters. There's just too many of them.
Yeah, they get into like, especially like rice crops and all that sort of thing, and just destroy the joint. So farmers would be like, "Hey, you boys get your mates and come up here and get rid of some of these." So that was a pretty popular thing. But yeah, man, I'm all for it. Anytime people are getting outdoors and getting into just fun stuff outdoors, man, that's that's it. Yeah, cool. So you like Eli into the elk hunting, man?
Yeah, it's funny. As we were talking about that, I saw Tomac when he won Monster Cup. Not when he swept it, but it was his first, because I think he won Monster Cup twice. And the first time he won it, he didn't win the 3 in a row for the million. But anyway, I saw him at the after party. And funny story about that is he didn't have the wristband, and they wouldn't let him in. And he was the dude that just won the damn thing. And so he was all pissed off. And the security guard made him leave to go get the wristband. And then I saw him there at the after party. And the Tomac you have now, Tomac's always been who he is. But that night, he was lit. I mean, him, Cooper Webb was there. I mean, we're talking just pouring the bottle straight. Yeah. And Tomac was basically carried out that night.
Yeah.
And awesome. I saw him a couple years ago at an Alpine Stars ride day. It was after the 22 season. It was after he had just beat Sexton for the title. Yeah. And it was just an Alpine Stars deal. So Tomac's there. He just won the title. So he was way more relaxed. Like Tomac, I'll tell you about the Tomac on race day and like on the weekends, because it's a different side of Tomac that you don't ever want to get to meet. And I'll tell you why. But so I saw him at his Alpine Stars ride day, and I'm like, hey man, like I got a funny story for you. And I was telling him about that night, and you could just tell he was like, oh my gosh. And he told me straight up, he's like, that was the last time I ever got drunk like that. He's like, that ruined it for me. He's like, I was so sick the next day. He's like, I've never even come close to that. I was like, well, at least I got to see the last time.
Yeah, geez, yeah.
So I've tried to. So that day I talked to him a little bit about bow hunting. I'll show him a picture of a buck that I just shot with my bow, and he was cool about it and everything. The thing about Tomac is, he's some of these guys. What I've come to find out from doing Race Day Live, and I was lucky and blessed to be able to do this, is a lot of these guys, if you're not in their inner circle, it's really hard to get past the pure professional stage of I'm here to do a job. Yeah. I don't want to small talk. I'm not interested in trying to bro down with you. Tomac is one of those guys where if you catch him on a race weekend, if you're just a fan and he's coming up to talk to you, like he's going to treat you like a fan and give you the time. But he looks at me and anyone that's doing race day live stuff is you have a job to do, but outside of the job that you're here to do, I have no interest in trying to like shoot the shit, right? So I remember I saw the first time I saw Tomac when I was doing race day live. Well, one, I was just starstruck. You know, it was like the first. Well, I'd seen him and talked to him before, but I was like, I can't believe I actually like get to interview Tomac. You know?
Yeah.
And anyway, so I do the interview with him, and I don't remember what I asked him. Oh, it was we were like 3 or 4 races in, and it was a first East Coast race. It could have been Detroit, but I remember they wanted me to ask him about how he was almost a full race out of the point slate, if that was bugging him or not. And I was like, I don't want to ask him that, but all right, you know what I mean? Kind of, it does what it's told. It puts lotion on the skin. So anyway, I do this interview with Eli, and I don't think I asked him any questions that were bad or that offended him or anything like that, or that he didn't want to answer. But I just remember, and maybe it's because he hadn't seen me around a lot, I don't know. But I finished this interview with him, and after it was done and I'd finished it all, wrapped it up, I said, hey man, appreciate you doing that. Good luck this weekend. And dude, it was like I had never even been there. Like he didn't give a smile or like yeah, you're welcome. And dude, he literally just the minute he knew that I was done with him, he just turned his head the other direction. And it just felt like fuck off, dude. I'm done. Like next. Like that's how it felt. And I learned right then and there that some of those guys like Anderson and some of these other dudes, like if you're not in their inner circle, like they're just locked in and they're there to do a job. And so you got to, but then you have like Plessinger and a lot of these other dudes where it's like, dude, they'll bro down with you the first time you meet them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But anyway, that interaction with Tomac, I was like, don't let this ruin your idea. Don't let this ruin your fandom of Tomac. Like he's still a cool, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I have seen, I've seen, I know some people that do get, they get that, some Aussie guys, they get that, they're the friendliest, smiliest guy, but race day, don't worry about trying to talk to them. They just,
they're in the zone.
Whatever their thing is, when they pull the boots on or when they get up that morning, whatever it is, they flick a switch and it's just like their eyes change, man. They just look like a different person, and you just know they're not down for small talk today. They are just
Mathis just talked about in a podcast. He talked about how Webb and him will kind of like shoot the shit back and forth on text like throughout the week. But then he says, I see him a track walk at the track and he just walks by me like we've never met before. So that's just, So it takes a little getting used to. You start to feel out like what riders are worth trying to do more with. Like when I'm on the starting line and they're asking me to get an interview right before a heat race, unless they tell me specifically, go interview Tomac or go talk to so-and-so, I already know who's not going to want me to come over and ask them for an interview. Like you learn that. You remember in Sexton, I think it was an outdoor race. It was Katie. Oh, why am I forgetting her? Or Osborne, the Osborne gal. And it was on live TV. I felt bad for her, but she was going down the line and all the dudes are on the starting gate getting for their first moto. And Katie walks over and Sexton's sitting there with his headphones on. And she walks over and goes to tap him on the shoulder. And you remember he just looked the other direction, just like, I'm not now.
That was one of Katie's early stints on the Supercross. That was one of her early things, and I felt bad for her. Like it kind of made it made her look bad, because like if that was someone who'd been doing it for 3 years, you wouldn't even think anything. But everyone's sort of like, oh, new girl, and she's not new to what she does. She was just new to our sport. Just new to our sport. And it made her look bad, and everyone was like, oh, this, she copped a bit of shit, and I felt bad for her at the time.
Yeah, I felt bad for her. But in that situation, I would have known better to say Sexton's sitting there with his headphones on.
Yeah.
Not the guy that I'm going to go try and go bug right now. Like if any of those dudes have headphones on, it's like they're locked in, they're ready to go. I'm not going to try and interrupt that right before a gate drop. So you just start to feel dudes out. There's some guys though that I know, like no questions asked, they'll probably be down to do just about anything. So you just start to learn the personalities a little bit.
Yeah, and you can tell by you don't even need to see their face. You can tell by the body language. You can tell the guys that you can see the helmet turning and the hands waving, and the guys that are talking to someone else. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just talking from an Australian perspective. You know, they're waving, and you can see they're talking to other people and shit like that. And then you know that guy's still a bit approachable, but the guy that's just like not moving a muscle, staring at the crossbar, you know, or something like that. Is like, yeah, don't bother him.
Yeah, so. Isn't it crazy how Tomac? It's crazy how he's such a fan favorite, but is so up till the last couple of years, like he really is super dry. Like there's personality wise, there's not a lot there to cheer for. It's the mystery of Eli Tomac that's so captivating for people.
He's
a
bit of an enigma.
He is. He's stayed like he has been so perfect about.
Yeah.
He's never involved with the other rider drama. He's had his run-ins with, with Barsha a couple of years ago, when he's this year, all that stupid stuff. But he has walked the line so perfectly and just kept the mystique about him so well that it's like, it just sucks you in. I don't get it. But so many people love him because RV, not a lot of people I feel like loved Villopoto. But him and Tomac weren't much different. When Tomac was on Cowie days, you almost felt like he hated riding dirt bikes, just like RV. You got the same vibe, right?
It's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point about RV because I always sort of respected RV. He's an amazing rider, but it's kind of boring. You know, that was kind of what I thought. Yeah. And he's awesome. Like, I love him heaps more now.
And maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But Webb, like, nobody liked Webb on KTM.
Yeah,
when
I didn't. Nah.
When he was on Stars at 250.
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy how hot and cold and finicky fans can be, because Webb on 250s, you remember he is telling Bowards payback's the B word, right? And he's just crushing dudes. Everybody loved Webb.
Yeah.
And then he went to 450s, and I still think a lot of people liked him, but for whatever reason, as soon as he went to KTM, it was like, nobody likes the guy anymore. And maybe he was a little dull on the podiums, I don't know, but he was still one of the only guys that was giving the finger to Roxon over the finish line. He still had that attitude, but for some reason, it's like just nobody liked him. But now that he's back on Yamaha, I kind of feel like fans have like turned the page, like, okay, we're starting to like Cooper Webb again. It's strange the way it works. I don't know.
Yeah, Webby won me over because I really didn't like him like right from the start, and that was just simply because I am a huge Jeremy Martin fan, and it was one or the other, like those two, it was those two going at it, and it was on the especially in those like that 14, 15 outdoors and all that sort of thing. It was those two.
Oh yeah,
and
I missed.
Yeah,
go ahead.
And so it was like if you're a Martin fan, you weren't a Webb fan, and then that just sort of stuck with me. But he gradually won me over. And now he's like one of my favorites. I love it when he gets a bit salty and he says stuff, and I love all that stuff. It makes me laugh, man. It's entertaining, and it's showing a bit of personality, which is really cool, man. So
it's what the sport needs. And I'm kind of with everyone where I don't know where Jet and Hunter felt like all that hate was coming from. Like, you're going to have people that like and dislike you, but the way that they were talking Anaheim 1, it was like, nobody likes me. I'm like, the lines at Supercross that are so long that not everyone gets to get an autograph signed by you are telling me different.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't understand where that, like he copped a bit of shit last year, the stuff with Ando and a few different things here, but I don't get where everyone hates me. I don't understand that at all. Like it makes me, just as an older guy that's, he's a young guy, it makes me just worry a little bit for his well-being, actually. Like, is this stuff getting in his head a bit? Like, he's still a kid, so that's sort of my take on it, like I'm a big guy on the mental side of things. I'm right into that and interested in it and a little bit knowledgeable about it. And I just sort of think, dude, like, where's your headspace at? Is someone in your corner helping you with that? And I'd say Johnny O is probably very good at helping him with that. So, yeah.
Could you imagine? I think back to when I was 21, 20. Could you imagine you're the best dirt biker arguably in the world at 20 years old. You're making millions of dollars. Could you imagine that at 20 years old?
Yeah.
Like the amount of what the expectation that we as fans have on a 20-year-old is stupid.
Yeah.
We expect them to just be this perfect person. Jet's got his big brain moments, you know what I mean? But it's like, what do you expect? He's a 20-year-old kid who never went to public school. Like, it's just that his upbringing was so different. And it's like, we expect this kid at 20 years old just to have it all figured out just because he's the best guy in the world. It's like, he doesn't have a clue. You know what I mean?
I've said many times, and same with Hayden, where I say, like, or any of the young ones, I've said to people, like, when I was their age, I was a fucking idiot. Like, like these kids
we all were
twice as smart as I was at that age. So who am I to criticize if they make a mistake? Like, I give the young ones a lot of, I give them a lot of chances to make mistakes, say dumb shit, do dumb shit. Like, because man, they are still kids, man. Like, especially
100%.
Man. Guys don't grow up until they're nearly 30, man. Really, like in your head.
Oh,
your body does.
Yeah.
Your mind does it. We're pretty stupid when we're young, man. So,
it's just, it's tough. The stress that they go through at such a young age. I'm like, it's gnarly. I give these guys a complete pass, especially like Hayden Deegan. I understand why he's so abrasive, why people don't like him, but he's doing what he's being told most of the time, I'd assume, right? Brian's a very smart guy, and I'm sure they talk about it, whatever. But these kids, it'd just be tough to be at that age where you just brain's going a million miles an hour, but you've got everybody telling you what to do, what to say every minute of your life, right? You probably never feel like you can just truly be yourself, which sucks.
Well, there's a lot of stories, man, of riders from the past. Well, not a lot of stories, but there is stories of riders from the past who are as talented as the guys we're talking about now, and didn't reach the heights, and simply because they were young and they didn't have the support around them. Like Bradshaw is the perfect example. Bradshaw was Jet, like you talk, especially if you look at the timelines of age and all that early results and all that, and he didn't have a support system, and even like the first version of Kevin Windham, man, he didn't, where he was just like world at his feet, and then he sort of all derailed, and then we sort of got K-Dub 2.0,
right, kind of matured a little bit, figured it out,
and come back around and that sort of thing. So there's different, because back in those days it was like, oh, you got to ride, off you go, here's your bike, whereas nowadays I think it's great that there's some really good dads involved, and like Darren, Brian, Kia, that are really involved. John Tomac, like that.
That's anomaly. Stewart's, Big James has always been involved.
And I guess that probably really started to change with Jeannie and Big Rick, just being super involved and that's
it's interesting. I think about RV though, like how gnarly was that for him? He was in his low 20s. He had all the pressure that he's supposed to be winning these titles. But his home life, he was broken, had a bad relationship with his parents, like that all, like, I mean, imagine doing that. You're expected to win races. You're grinding at Alden's, all this pressure, and you've got a broken family, like your relationship's tainted, because I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he kind of rekindled some of that with his dad.
I think so.
After he was done racing, right? So like, imagine that, like your family is estranged a little bit, and you've got all this pressure, and you're in your low 20s making millions. Like, okay,
it's crazy. Like, I'd fall apart, man. I would have fell apart. I would have totally fell apart when I was that age with that sort of pressure, man. Absolutely, dude. What sort of? I always ask people, what sort of music are you into?
Oh, dude, I don't know if I can give you that answer, because half the people watching this, if they're younger than us, are going to have a clue. So growing up, like my dad was big into guys like Mark Cohn.
Okay.
And like,
I only know one song, but I know one song.
Walking in Memphis, right? That's one that they know for him. I listen to like a lot of older, like early 90s like James Taylor was always getting played by my dad. But then there's like AC/DC was always his favorite rock band. So I've always loved AC/DC.
Yeah.
But so I can go anywhere from like that era, that music. Never got on the rap train, like 90s, early 2000s raps I'm okay with, but rap's probably rap and like hard rock are probably the two least favorite genres that I have. But I love country. I mean, I grew up in the Blink one. I don't know. I'm well-rounded. I like a ton of stuff. And it just totally depends on the day and what I'm in the mood for.
Do you do like Spotify? Do you do like Spotify? Do you listen on Spotify and that? Did you?
Yeah. What I do now is I just find like one song I like and I just have Spotify create a playlist just based off of that song.
Okay.
And just try and find new stuff all the what the hell is it? Steven Wilson Jr. Do you know who that is?
No.
He is by far my favorite new country artist.
Okay. Yeah.
Very, very unique sound. You would write it down, whatever. Steven Wilson Jr. My favorite song he does right now is called Father Son.
Yeah.
But, worth the listen, man. Very cool voice. So like I'll listen to like say Steven Wilson, and then I'm like, man, this guy like kicks ass. And then I'll use one of his songs and have Spotify create a playlist off of that to see if I can find more music that's similar to what he is putting out. And so I kind of go through these, like I'll listen to this style of music for a little bit, and then I'll hear this song that I think is super catchy. And I'm like, oh, like what other music is similar to this that I haven't listened to yet? So I'm always trying to find new stuff.
Yeah, I get what you mean now. Yeah, I've done that by accident, man. So, you know, every now and again, Spotify will, I don't know how it works, but I'll just pretty much always have like my favorites list or whatever. Every now and again, it'll go rogue, you know, and it'll throw in a few extra songs, and that's based off what else you're listening to.
Yeah, you turn that on in your settings. It's like it's like a smart playlist or something.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I add that, and then if I've got time, I'll have a look at that. You know, listen to a few others of that. So, and there's some, I don't know where they're from. I don't know any of their other albums. I don't know anything, but I've listened to their song a lot because it's made it to my favorites. So I've got a few things like that, man. But
like that Steven Wilson Jr. guy, I found out about him because I was watching a bow hunting film.
Yeah.
And it was just one of the songs the guy was just playing during the show. And I was like, damn, like that. And that's the thing too, is like, if I'm driving with somebody and I hear a song come on that they have and they're playing it and I like it, it's like, I have to find out what song that is. And I want it on my phone.
Yeah.
Whereas some people, it's like, they hear a song and it's like, they're like, oh, that's a cool song. But they're like, their brain, they can just kind of be like, yeah, it's cool. But like me, I'm like, when I hear a song I really like, I'm like, my mind doesn't stop until I'm like, I have to find out what that song is and who sings that because I want to hear it more, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. You don't want to lose it. You don't want to lose it.
Yeah, you're like, so I'm sitting there like, hey, Siri, what song is this? And I'm putting it next to my TV speaker while it's playing just so I can try and figure out what song it was. That's how I found out about it.
Yeah. No, I've done that too. Yeah, where you hear something, and it might be on someone's Instagram reel, or I found there's some country guy that I've listened to a bit now, and I can't recall his name, and that was off an Instagram reel. Someone was playing it, so that's cool, you know, because I'm with my music taste, for most of my life, I just stuck to what I liked when I was young, and I never expanded from there. But probably in the age of Spotify, the age of social media, I'm exposed to more things. So I listen, and also as my kids get older too, sometimes
think about what Instagram and stuff has done.
Yeah, I'll learn.
It's so easy to discover stuff now because you'll just be flipping through and it'll just toss something into your feed and you're like, oh, you know. So I found a few artists doing that too. So
it's not like when I was young and you'd have to go into the record store and put the headphones on and put in a demo, listen to a demo CD. You know,
like isn't it wild to think about even kids that are 20 years old will never know what a VHS is. They don't know what a DVD is. You know what I mean? Do you remember trying to like go for a run or do something with your DVD player in your hand and you have to like try and hold it still because it'll skip on you?
Do you remember the CD player that you had a jack that was like a fake tape that would go into the tape player, and then the wire would come out, and you put that into your Walkman, so you could run your CD Walkman through your car. Do you remember that? Or you might be too young.
I think I'm even too young for that. I don't recall that.
40? Did you say you're 40?
Yeah, I'll be 40 next week.
Okay, so I'm 48. So yeah, you would have missed that one. But it was like the shape of a tape, but it was basically an adapter, and it would go into your tape player in your car, and it had a wire came out, like a 3-foot wire come out, to your CD Walkman, and you put that on the console. But the trick was you had to put like a sweater or a towel or something underneath it and sort of cradle it. Otherwise, every little bump in the road, the CD would skip.
It would skip. Oh, yeah. I remember, I think it was like maybe 12. I asked for a Walkman for Christmas. Yeah. Oh, man. I still remember going, like, some of the best times was when you're going to the movie store and you're just going to rent a VHS and you're in there and you just got walls of movies. You're talking. I remember going to the VHS store, and it was always like if we could try and sneak into the adult section, just so we could turn the VHSs around and look at the back and see the pictures.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was. And it's crazy, man. Like I hardly ever watch anything that's not moto related, really. And I know at over Christmas there, I had some holidays, and I'm trying to relax, and I'm like. I actually had charge of the remote control for once, which is very unusual in my house. And I was like, I put on the Fire Stick thing that we have, and there's like all this lineup of these different streaming services, and I'm like, which one should I use? It's like, I just want to find a movie, and they're like, "I try this one," and then someone else yells out, "Try this one, try this one, and this one," and I'm like,
there's so many TV. Yeah, you start one TV series, you get 3 episodes in, and realize you're just not into it. You spend more time trying to find something to watch than actually watching the movie. I watch every night when I lay in bed. There's only 2 things I'll watch, or 3 things maybe. I watch dirt bike race reruns. Those put me to sleep really quick. I'm a avid golfer, so I watch a lot of just YouTube golf stuff. That puts me to sleep really quick. Or bow hunting. Those are the 3 things that I put on most.
Cool. That's it. So there is a lot of bow hunting videos and that sort of. They're getting in right into that, doing like GoPro. They do like GoPro.
No, you have guys that you have dudes that'll try and self hunt where they're taking the camera and trying to film themselves. They're just doing all via GoPro, but there's a lot of guys that have an extra hand with them that are just there to film their hunt. So they're just sticking there with them the whole time. And they film it start to finish.
Awesome. Yeah. One of my best mates, he's still got a pretty kick-ass bow set up because he got right into that. And he was making some arrows for pigs that probably weren't necessarily legal to own and that sort of thing, because like the skin at the front of a boar, you know what that's like, man. Like, or the skin of a boar, like it's like
so thick, so tough,
and so tough. So you can't use normal arrows and that. But yeah, just a funny story. Just reminded me of this. It's probably a couple of years ago. He's got a pretty good man cave,
Mm-hmm.
And like most man caves, there's a dartboard, and we're drinking, and so I think I think it was actually my son actually come out, and I was asking him about his bow, and he's got it out and he's showing him and all that sort of thing, and he's just got a normal arrow in it, just with a just for like probably like a practice arrow, I don't know the technical terms, and he's showing him how it works and all that. And then he's there and he sculls a drink, puts it down, grabs the bow, aims it at the dartboard, and just goes bang and gets a bullseye from across the man cave it's a bullseye. And I took a photo of it. I couldn't believe it. Like it's
pretty amazing.
And he just bang bullseye. It probably destroyed his dartboard because it probably blew the center right out. But it was funny.
It's pretty amazing how accurate compound bows are. I mean, I can on a non-windy day, I could shoot a pie plate 2-3 out of 5 shots from 100 yards.
fair dinkum. Yeah.
Because you have like your traditional recurve bows, which I do want to get into that, but like a compound bow, you actually have sights on them.
Yeah.
So you look through a little peep sight on your string, and then you have your sight housing, you have your little pins, and those pins are sighted in for actual yardages.
Yeah.
So you just put your pin on. So if it's at 60 yards, you put your pin that's sighted in for 60 yards. And as long as you can hold that as still as possible when you release, you can get it to where you're accurate within an inch or two at 60 yards.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun.
Sounds like good fun, man. Yeah. My only experience with it is I've been to archery parks and, just shooting targets at archery parks, which is good fun, and they had the little ones for the kids and all that sort of thing. So yeah, dude. Cool. I've kept you for a while, and thank you very much for your time, man. There's we'll wrap it up. There's just two things I do at the end of the show, man. I always ask the US guests. I always ask you to give me your best Aussie accent.
Oh, the last time I tried this, it was so bad. It just sounded like it. I did it in one of our challenge videos. The Endurocross one that you said you watched. There was an episode before where we were just out, just having some fun, doing some stupid challenges on the bikes. And they were like, we had this wheel of shit, just like different things to add to the challenge. And one of them was like, you have to speak an Australian accent. So like,
I don't remember that. Yeah.
Oh, you have to go watch it. And of course, like I'm the one who gets caught. So like, of course, the first thing I'm just like, crikey. Now that's a big one. But like the more I tried to stick with it, I slowly just faded into like an English accent. It wasn't good anymore.
It's funny, man. That's the most common thing that I find is when an American tries to do Australian, they sound a bit English. That's really common. Even with a lot of actors, that happens too. We notice that.
Really?
Yeah, and you guys probably think, oh, they're doing a good job, but you hear an American actor being an Aussie and you're like, there's a bit of British in there.
Yeah, I don't know. British. So one of my closest friends, I don't know if you know of him or heard of him. His name's Matt Jory. He owns Proven Moto.
No.
So he's an Aussie that came over the States long time ago. He was actually when it was Troy Designs Honda.
Yep.
So Matt was their actual engine builder, and he was a factory mechanic, so a wrench. And then when he left that side of it, he started Proven Moto here in Utah. So we've been best friends now for a while.
Yeah.
Funny story with him is I'm the kind of guy where I can make friends pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And when I meet somebody that I'm like, I need to be friends with this guy just because I don't know what it is about this guy, but I want to be friends with him. Matt was one of those guys. And he was the most, what drew me to Matt, and I'll get to the whole Aussie accent thing here in a minute, but what drew me to Matt was how upfront and honest he was. So I went in there, it was my first dirt bike that I bought, and it was a 2012 Honda 450. And I'd bought this from a guy that just raced desert.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it, but this thing was clapped as a 450 can be. So I owned it for a little while. I took it to Matt. Somebody referred me to him, and I take it in the shop, and I'm like, hey, I just want to drop this off and just have you kind of go through the whole engine. I've had it for like a year now. I just want you to freshen her up, right? And Matt's just like, yeah, okay, like I can do that, whatever. Didn't know the guy. He called me back the next day, and he said, hey, Chase, before I start to work on this bike, I'm going to give you some advice. I was like, okay. He's like, and he just said, sell this thing now and buy a new motorcycle. And I was like, okay, how come? He's like, dude, this thing's clapped. He's like, I have to tear into the bottom end and the top end if you really want to do this right. He's like, your shock bearings loose, your wheel bearings are bad. He's like, you're going to spend $3,000 to $4,000 to get this thing like how you expect me to get it for you. I was like, and he's like, so you need to sell this thing and go buy a new bike. And damned if I didn't put that thing for sale literally the next day and went and bought a brand new motorcycle. And so I immediately knew like, this is a guy that has integrity, that it would just is an honest guy. And it took me like 6 months because he was hardcore into mountain biking. And now he builds actually rock buggies a lot. He does gnarly rock crawling down in Warner Valley down in southern Utah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was like, man, this guy's way into mountain biking. And like, that was my in, because I did a ton of downhill mountain biking and all that stuff before I got into moto.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so I finally convinced Matt to take me for a bike ride up in Park City. And then that was it. But so we've been really great friends ever since. But I've tried to do an Aussie accent with him a few times, and he just laughs at me. He's like, no, that ain't, bro. That ain't.
Yeah. No, it's fun, man. Every now and again, I'll get one that's really good, man. And and then
you just gotta tell me what you want me to say, I guess, because I guess I could just start BSing a little bit, but it ain't gonna be good.
It's a hard one, man. Yeah, sometimes I just tell people, just give us a g'day, mate.
G'day, mate. I guess as we're finishing up the show, we could just do our outros and be done with it, you know? I don't know. No one's ever asked me to do that.
Not so good. Not so good.
Fun. Yeah, exactly. Fun fact about me is I speak fluent Portuguese.
Okay.
People don't know. Lived in Brazil for a couple years.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Why Brazil, man? Why did you live in Brazil? What were you doing?
Oh, I was on a Mormon mission. I left when I was 19, came back when I was 21.
Ah, okay. Cool.
Yeah, us weird Mormons out here. Yeah, no, so I did that when I was 19. Went down to Brazil, lived there for 2 years, and came back.
Forgive me, I don't know a lot about Mormons, right? So
I
know the connection with Utah, but are you still a Mormon?
Yeah. Still active, still do the thing.
Yeah. And that's I'm trying to think. I've had someone else. What's her name? Sophie Phelps. I had Sophie Phelps on the show. She's a Mormon too, yeah? Is that?
Yeah, I see and talk to Sophie pretty often. She was just down at the Mesquite MX with me doing some announcing for Gary.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. She's a great girl, man. Yeah, like I've tried to get a few female guests on the show, and she was like the second one, I think. Yeah, and
salt of the earth. But you know what? Sophie's got a side of like she was throwing some like sarcasm at me last time I was down hanging out with her that I just wasn't ready for.
Yeah,
she was just hitting me with like, she was making fun of me, throwing jokes at me, and I was like, oh, okay, like this is a side of Sophie I haven't seen before. But anyway, no, great girl. Rips on a dirt bike.
Oh yeah, like rips, man. Yeah. No, really cool. It was actually a great show, great interview. Yeah, she very open person, and it was really good. And she actually, a lot of things she talked about, she was reminding me of my daughter. So that was a cool
nice.
time. Yeah. And so just like on the mission, is that when you're sort of there like working with poor people, or what actually is a mission, Ben?
No, I mean, just the whole purpose is to go down there and preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. So you're down there and you're trying to convince the people kind of two things, right? Like in Brazil, the vast majority of the country is Christian.
Yeah.
You don't have a hard time down there convincing people to believe in Jesus Christ or to believe in a God, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different churches down there. There's a lot of Catholics. I don't know what they'd be called in English, but maybe Protestants and a few others.
Yeah.
But like here in the States, it's like you're going to get probably 40-50% of people that just don't believe there's a God, period. Yeah. But anyway, it's like, no, you're down there and you're preaching and you're talking to people and you're just ultimately you're trying to get them to get baptized into the church.
So you're sort of working from a church sort of thing down there, or
it's very so. A lot of people don't realize it, but a mission they think it's like, oh, I just got shipped to Brazil, and it's like you're just going to go, just kind of figure it out. It's very well structured and organized. So the whole country is split up into separate missions. So right now, let's say there's 20 missions total in Brazil, because it's such a massive country that's grown a ton since I was there. Every mission will have its specific boundary. And within that boundary or that mission, every mission will have a mission president. It's him and his wife.
Yeah.
And they're doing the same thing where they were just normal people in the church that were called and given this calling to go do it. They're not paid. They get an allowance, like and you're provided they're provided an apartment. We don't work while we're down there. We're given an allowance from the church. But you're never paid to do it. And so like a great example is there's this guy named Jeremy Guthrie, who is a pitcher for the Royals. It's from my hometown. I used to take bullpens for him in the summertime. I was way big into baseball growing up. And so shortly after he retired from MLB pitching, this dude's got all the money you could ever ask for. And he got called to go be a mission president down in Texas.
Yeah.
So anyway, you have a mission president, and then missionaries are always paired up in twos, and you're always with your companion 24/7. You guys have an apartment, and even within the mission, every missionary duo has their boundary that they stay in.
Yeah.
And you check up every week. And so it's very well structured, very organized.
So you're literally just like going around the towns talking to people.
Yeah, a lot of that. Obviously, you're trying to work with other members to have them refer you to people, because it's always easier if you're teaching somebody that knows somebody that's already a part of it. So so there's a lot of that, but there's definitely a lot of just what they call proselyting, where you're just talking to people on the street. In Brazil, it's different. You don't knock on doors. You actually stand outside their fence and you clap. That's how they knock.
Okay, yeah.
But,
interesting, man. Yeah, we like Australia, man. It's probably the least religious country in the world, I'd say. I know you're either Aussie mates and that they would say, you know, like it's not. I'd say the vast majority of Aussies are probably not specific, not aligned to a specific religion. Beliefs vary wildly, of course. But yeah, that's it. I don't even know if we have Mormons here, to be honest. But that's
oh, you do. Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
You've got missionaries out there walking around. You probably just haven't seen them yet, but they're always walking in twos with this white shirt and tie on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. My beliefs on that sort of stuff have changed a lot over the years in different directions, man. Nowadays I'm somewhere in the middle, I guess. Yeah. Not to don't want to keep you too long and turn it into.
Oh no, you're all good.
But yeah. Well, I was brought up a Catholic, but I was brought up a Catholic there was sort of a thing of just like, you have to go to church, you have to do this, you have to do that. And being rebellious, I was just like, I ain't doing none of this shit as soon as I can. So that was sort of, that was it for me. And then and I was sort of I was a person of faith, and then I had life things happen to me where I was like super atheist at one stage. And then I've gradually come back to where I certainly believe in something, but I don't have any specifics around it.
Some sort of creator?
I don't even know if I would say some sort of creator. I just believe there's higher powers, much, much well beyond us. And I also believe that a lot of things happen for a reason, or everything happens for a reason, and that and that there's a lot of and I guess some of the things I've done in my life, man, where I changed I've always been a good person, but I changed my ways to be a better person at one stage. And my life has gone in an upward trajectory crazily since I started being an even better person. And that's awesome. That really opened my eyes, man, to like there's something going on here that I don't understand. Because
it's just believing that there's a
better person I am, man, the more good things happening to me. So
that's whether you believe in God or not. If the whole world saw it as that, it's whether you want to say love thy neighbor or just treat those like the golden rule, we'd be in a lot better place, right? So I look at it as whether you believe in God or not. My whole thing is, like, let's just look at the general big picture here. There's like, I geek out on the astronomy and the universe and just the facts about it.
Yeah.
And I just look at, there's so much stuff that we don't understand. And but there's these laws that the universe is obeying that we don't even comprehend. And I'm like, surely somebody out there gets it. Or somebody has created these laws where it's like, I don't think the universe just randomly came up with all these crazy laws. that it's following, like something, it's organized chaos, right? So that's, I just look at it logically, like, doesn't make a whole lot of sense that it just kind of happened from nothing. But we could go on like that for hours.
Yeah, that's sort of where I'm at, man. You know, like at one stage there, I was just like, nah, everything's about science, and I was this super atheist person for a while. So because of a personal tragedy, I was like, I was sending I was sending the bird upstairs and, like, you know, screw all this, basically. You know, that was what I was doing. You know.
Well, it's tough.
I've changed though, but
yeah.
But
last thing I'll say is,
I find it interesting though, man. That's why I'm bugging you about it now on the show. I find religion and all that sort of, I find it interesting because it's, you know, so many wonderful people believe in it, and are part of it. Well, there must be some good in it, you know. That's kind of, I guess, and that's a lot of what's changed my mind, you know, is that I've met more and more people, and particularly as I've met more and more American people, and obviously a lot more of you guys are religious than Aussies. Like Aussies, it's like, you know, such and such goes to church. Does he really? He goes to church? Like, it's like almost like that here, you know, like it's unusual. Like, but as I've met more and more people, and I'm like, this person's just an awesome person, and so smart, so caring, such a good friend, and they have these beliefs. Well, that sort of, you know, starts to make you think. Yeah, interesting.
Sure. My favorite thing, and I'll leave with this, is when it comes to just Christians, you get a lot of people who say they believe in God or Jesus Christ, and they say, well, I'm saved by his grace. And I'm like, all right, well, that's fine. But my question is, have you been changed by his grace? To believe is one thing, but it's to say, okay, how should I be acting because I believe in it?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. And with your attitude, we'll be all right.
Yeah, that's it. You know, like I've said to some of my friends who are very religious, you know, and I've said to them, look, you know, I've done a lot of wrong things, but I just hope the big man, in the end, I hope the big man, if you guys are all right, in the end, I hope the big man's got a good sense of humor. And then I'll be okay if he's got a good sense of humor. And I figure if he's
a very patient man.
If he is that good of a dude, he's got to have a sense of humor, doesn't he? So a guy like me should be all right.
I would hope so.
Even with you know, I've never done anything really bad, man. But you know, I certainly cuss a lot and a lot of things like that. But yeah, cool, man. I've kept you too long. We got off on a tangent there.
Good.
But my show always gets off on tangents, or often gets off on tangents, man. The very last thing I do, the outro to my show, is me singing a verse and a chorus of Kenny Rogers, man. And I always say to people, if you know the words, by all means join in. Some people do, some people don't. It's pretty weird. I know you're probably thinking, how weird's this guy? There's a backstory to it, and it's just a fun thing. It's totally not serious. So I'll do that to close the show. It's a tradition. So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light, and the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, if you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em. Know when to
fold 'em. That's all I know.
Know when to walk away. Know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Chase Cook, thank you very much for your time today. It's been a pleasure, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, honor's mine. And dude, this is the first podcast that anyone's asked me to be on.
Fair income, man.
So
I'm very
glad I got to do it with you.
And I'm pumped. I can't believe others haven't. I would have thought you would have been.
I was on Kiefer's, but that was like for the boot shootout, so a little bit different. But yeah, you're the first one of any podcast of any sort to ask me on the show. So I definitely feel honored that I've done something right, and I've made a big enough splash, hopefully for good, in the industry, that you were interested to have me on the show. So I appreciate it.
Oh, that's why I asked you, man. Yeah. So yeah, cool, man. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. And you're going to A2?
Not A2. I fly out next week. And so if you're watching Race Day Live for Glendale,
always, yeah.
I'll be on the tube. Yeah, I'll be down doing the track reporting and doing the interviews and stuff.
I'll be watching you then. Thank you very much, man, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Cheers, man. Okay, bye.
All right. See you, Steve.
See you, man. Bye.